roll the dice sometimes, you think, okay, right? You want to land 6 on each, and that's, perfect 12. There you go. I landed it. Here we go. That's what we want, right? All 12, get all of it correct. There we go. And then sometimes when you have a pair of dice and you roll it, you get snake eyes, 1 on each. And you're like, dang, came out with a whole lot of nothing. Well, I came out with two snake eyes and 2 12s, which in football, and when you pick games and cover games like I have for this podcast and for sports in general, you kind of feel, right? You kind of just think, okay, right? You kind of risk it, roll the dice, and you're going to land, and then sometimes you're not going to land. Well, I was 2 for 2 this week, and that's how it ends up. You get 2 right, and you land perfectly twice, and then you land with a whole lot of nothing twice. And that was the week I had in week 10. We're going to recap week 10 and those games. We're also going to preview and predict week 11 and the top matchups coming out of week 11, and talk about the coaching changes in Chicago as well as Dallas. The same old conversation about Dallas. We're going to see who's in and who's out with the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report as well. Guys, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, you're listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X, Instagram, and Facebook, just type in Pigskin Frenzy, follow about the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories, go and answer today's NFL question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Not Facebook, by the way. I'm just saying it out of habit. Guys, website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you'll find a home and about me page. Learn more about me as your podcast host. There you will find contact info down below. Name, question, email. I'll answer it on the show or off air if need be, as well as our platforms page. All the platforms I just mentioned, we're on there. Go and click. You'll see what's your favorite listening style besides Facebook. No more we all have any Facebook. So there's that. There's also our affiliations page, which is more on that coming soon, and our store, more on that coming soon as well. Guys, NFL Day. We're going to rock and roll. Recap an excellent week 10, 2 for 2 in my NFL picks. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. A lot to talk about in Chicago with some coaching changes and some stuff going on with the offense in Bears country. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss what's happening in Dallas, and it's going to, not really shock a lot of people, even though I have my own thoughts on it. We're going to talk about that and discuss that. We're also going to talk about what is going on with the injuries, NFL injury report. There's not a whole lot on the list, but we're going to see who's in and who's out this week and discuss the week 11 games at the end of the episode. Guys, let's cover week 10 and let's talk about week 10 and recap week 10. Let's start with last Thursday night football's game between the Ravens and the Bengals, AFC North showdown. Last Thursday night football, covering another one tonight, and I'm excited about that one, but we're going to talk about this one. I rolled with the Bengals. I rolled the dice on this one, roll with the Bengals. I was wrong. Final score was 35-34. Ravens defeated the Bengals. Ravens 35, Bengals 34. But it didn't come without controversy, though, ladies and gentlemen. It did not come without any controversy. Rams were 7-3. Bengals are now 4-6. It was kind of tough because the Ravens now sweep the season series, and the Bengals had a huge lead in the third quarter, 21-7 lead, and then the Ravens stormed back and beat them, and the Bengals kind of let their foot off the gas. I think that's one of the biggest problems about this Bengals team. We're going to discuss that here in just a little bit. Let's talk about the Ravens first, and let's discuss the Ravens. And we have good circle moments, bad circle moments. So on this show, if you're new to this show, about to be 4,200 listeners. Thank you for tuning in to Pigskin Frenzy. And if you're new to the podcast, we have negative circle moments. We have positive circle moments on this show. And I take this pen and if you hear it on my desk with the mic, circle it on there. And we have those circle moments because it is when we cover games in the end season, because that's what it is. It's positive circle moments that people can learn from, right? So that's what we're learning about. And that's what we're, striving for, right? So let's discuss the Ravens, and let's discuss the good moments and the bad moments and the circle moments they've had in this game. So, Ravens, as we look at the team stats, 99 rushing yards. How about that? That's a circle moment right there for the Bengals, honestly, and we're going to discuss that here in a little bit. Let's talk about the positives first before we talk about the bad. A positive circle moment that you can take away from the Ravens win this weekend was Lamar Jackson's play. Lamar Jackson is just an absolute animal, right? He's an absolute beast. He's the head of the MVP race currently right now, and he deserves to be. He really, really is just a specimen at quarterback. He really is. And it's looking like on tap that the Ravens are going to win the North again in the AFC. The positive circle moment was a big third down play by Lamar Jackson, and he scrambled out. And when he could have been out of bounds, he ended up going for a 1st and goal. That's just what Lamar Jackson does, and that's just Lamar Jackson things. He's a freakish and athletic quarterback in this league, and he's just amazing, right? So the play of Lamar Jackson in the second half especially was incredible, and the running kind of finally started taking shape in general in the second half, and they kind of stormed back on offense. So the second half play for this team was incredible. That's a positive circle moment there. Another positive circle moment was third down efficiency. They were very efficient on third down, 7 for 12. It was a lot better than most, and they converted on a lot, especially in the second half. First half was kind of dull. The Bengals were all over the Ravens in the first half. They had a slow start in the first half, and I think we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but the second half performance for the Ravens was a positive circle moment. Now, if you want to talk about some negative circle moments, the penalties, 11 penalties. 11 penalties for 81 yards. That's a negative circle moment because that's a game coster. If you really just, honestly, if you just keep doing that, you're going to end up losing a game that you're really not supposed to lose. Not only that, an important game like in the playoffs as well. In the last drive, you would have thought that the Bengals were going to tie this game up and they were going to come back because the Ravens were just shooting themselves in the foot on defense with senseless penalties. That's what I'm talking about. In games like this, because this almost cost the Ravens in this game too, and it's going to catch up to them. At least in one game. If they keep doing this, it's going to catch up to them. They got to quit with the senseless penalties. They did not need those penalties. Now, I will say, in this game, they should have been called, because the Bengals went for 2, they should have been called for defensive holding and face mask. It should have been another PAT try for the Bengals, and it should have been possibly an extra point instead of a 2-pointer. They were trying to go for the win instead of go for the PAT, and it didn't work out for the Bengals, and the Bengals lost that way. They had an onside kick. Ravens recovered the onside kick. There we have it. But very, very controversial ending to the game. It should have been called. It should have been penalties. They should have had 13 penalties. They should have had 2 more penalties added on. But when you look at it and you think about it, it's like, man, those penalties to drive the Bengals down the field to set them in the position to score, it could have shot us in the foot, and we could have lost this ball game after coming all the way back in the second half, right? Ravens do not need to do those senseless penalties. That is my biggest flaw about this game. And the negative circle moment was the slow start. I think the slow start is what got me about the Baltimore Ravens in this game. They started really, really sluggish and slow. Had an inconsistent rhythm on offense to start off the game. And I felt like that was a big negative circle moment for the Baltimore Ravens in this one. But they stormed back. They found the way and the will to win in this ball game. And Lamar Jackson, man, you just can't count him out as, probably going to be back-to-back MVP, winning his 3rd MVP overall in Lamar Jackson. So he's in the forefront of it, and this is why he is the man, right? So if you want to look at what they did, I mean, Lamar had 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, 25 for 33. Derrick Henry was 16 carries, 68 yards, a touchdown. And how about Tylan Wallace? Tylan Wallace in this game, he had 1 touchdown, 115 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Mark Andrews had 68 yards, 6 receptions, and a touchdown. Nelson Aguilar had a 6-yard touchdown reception, and Rashad Bateman had 6 carries, 54 yards, and a touchdown as well. So Lamar Jackson doing Lamar Jackson things. He also had 7 carries and 33 yards at the ground. Jackson did. So the action Jackson came out in the second half, and that's how they won the game. there. The defense played really, really well for this team as well. The defense is what kind of kept them in it and kind of slowed down the Bengals a little bit late in the first half. So I think due to the play on defense for the Ravens in the first half is what really, really kept them in this game, and it didn't kind of get out of hand, after the first half was over with. So good on the Ravens defense there. Now the senseless penalties have to stop, but that's just how I look at it. The Ravens this Sunday have the Steelers. We're covering that game in an AFC North showdown. They have a 1 Eastern, noon Central this Sunday. Ravens at Steelers, AFC North showdown and rivalry game coming up. We're going to cover that game here this weekend on Pigskin Frenzy and for Pigskin Frenzy. So Ravens and Steelers, we're going to talk about that one here later in the show. Kind of wrong on that one. We're going to talk about why and my thoughts on that one here at the end of this episode. But 35-34 was the final score. Ravens defeated the Bengals, and I rolled the dice and I got it wrong. I came close. I came very close, but I got it wrong. Let's talk about the Bengals here. Before we move on to the other three games. It's disheartening. That's the right word to put it. It's disheartening. Because if you want to talk about the positive circle moments for this Bengals team, you look at Joe Burrow and you look at Jamar Chase. You look at Burrow. Burrow had 428 yards and 4 touchdowns, 34 for 56. Brown had 1 touchdown, 42 yards, 13 carries. If you want to look at Tanner Hudson had 42 yards, 6 receptions, and a touchdown. Brown, receiving-wise, had 52 yards and 9 receptions, but the real circle moment was Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase had 11 receptions, 264 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was all over this Ravens secondary. This passing attack was just dynamic all night. The Ravens had no choice but to try to figure out a way to contain it and figure out a way to march back in this game using their strength, and that was running the ball and their offense with Lamar Jackson. Now, Jamar Chase had probably one of the best games of his career in Baltimore this last Thursday night. And it was kind of disheartening if you look at the play of Burrow and Chase, and you look at the play of Trey Hendrickson, if you look at the play of Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson as past last Thursday night on defense, they played an excellent defensive game this past Thursday night. They played really, really well. The Ravens are the number 1 offense in the NFL, and the Bengals slowed them down. Positive circle moments with Burrow and Chase. Another positive circle moment, they held the number 1 rushing team, the number 1 rushing offense in the league, to 99 total yards. 99 total yards in rushing, total yards rushing this past Thursday. They held them and held their own there. Another positive circle moment, they outgained them in passing, 421 to their 290. Outgained them total yards, 470 to their 389. Another positive circle moment will be 8 for 16 in this game on third downs. They really won on third downs in a lot of areas. So I think the negative circle moments, they want it time of possession. Here are the negative circle moments if you want to look at it. 1, they let their foot off the gas. Defensively late, they let their foot off the gas. Number 2, and they allow them to come back in the game. Number 2, the 3 sacks compared to the Ravens 0. They sacked Burrow 3 times, and that starts to add up late in a critical game like this, especially in a divisional game like this where you desperately need to win. It's starting to add up. So 3 sacks compared to their 0. That's another negative circle moment. If you want to look at one more, the fumble. 1 fumble that gave the Ravens the ball back later in the game. That was tough. Critical stuff like that is what kind of is a recipe for disaster in this game. The foot off the gas is the main one, though. That's the main thing. You let your foot off the gas, and with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, with a running back like Derrick Henry, with an offense as highly octaned as the Ravens, you do not need to let that happen. Todd Monken, was the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, was laughing all the way to the bank when they started kind of easing up in the second half. So, let me get a sip of water really quick. much better, refreshed. Shout out to Blue Mountain Water. Would love for you to, call Pigskin Frenzy. So, let's talk about this. I mean, they were all laughing all the way to the bank, right? So, the Ravens got the ball back. The Bengals are, letting their foot off the gas, and that was the big thing about this game. That was pretty much it. They did not need to lose this game, obviously, but they're not completely out of it yet, right? They're 4-6. They have a huge showdown Sunday night. The Bengals do. We're not covering it, but they have a huge showdown with a solid Chargers team in Los Angeles. Bengals at Chargers, 8:20 Eastern, 7:20 Central on NBC, Sunday Night Football. Then the Bengals at Chargers, huge game Sunday night. So we're not covering it. We're just going to sit down and probably, take a look at it, but not covering it. But the Bengals probably need to find a way to come away with a win here Sunday night against the Chargers. The Chargers, are 6-3. They could be 7-3. The Chargers are on their way to a playoff spot. First year under new head coach Jim Harbaugh. They've been playing really, really well. Justin Herbert has been playing really, really well. The Bengals have had to find a way to rebound. The rest of the Bengals schedule kind of looks like this. The Chargers, and then the Chargers. Then they got the Steelers after a bye. So the Bengals have a bye after the Chargers, and then they got the Steelers on December 1st. AFC North divisional game. They got the Cowboys, the Titans, another AFC North rematch against the Browns, the Broncos, the Steelers again. That's the rest of their schedule to make the playoffs. Honestly, they could probably afford to lose one more, maybe, but I would not lose this Sunday night. I mean, if you can win out, do it, but I wouldn't afford to lose this Sunday night at least. Don't do that. To get in, I mean, they would be 4-6, 5-6, 6-6, 7-6. If they won out, they would be 11-6. 11-6, and that is a playoff spot. All right, that's a guaranteed playoff spot, wild card, but playoff spot. Unless the Ravens lose, and if the Ravens lose, then the Bengals have a shot at winning the AFC North, even though they got the season swept from them. But 11-6, that's a wild card spot, and that's a playoff spot. But if they lose again, they keep losing, they're going to need help. And not only help, they lose anymore else after that, they're done. So Sunday is they're in a spot where they need to start chugging along, especially. Thursday was the right track. They lost due to controversy, but Thursday was the right track for them. Final score was 35-34. Bengals Sunday night are kind of in a hurry up and win mindset right now. I would say must win right away, but they're kind of on the verge of it. Sunday night against the Chargers, tough game. The Ravens have a tough game against the Steelers Sunday, and then AFC North showdown as the Steelers lead that division. Covering that game or not covering Bengals at Chargers. 35-34 was the final score. Ravens defeat the Bengals. I got that one wrong. Let's move on, and let's talk about, as I get back on my notes here, let's discuss Steelers and Commanders, because that was quite an interesting ball game. Now, wasn't it? Quite an interesting ball game. I picked the Commanders to win the game. Close. I did get it wrong. I rolled the dice, got it wrong. Final score was 28-27. Another game I got wrong, but it was close. Steelers 28, Commanders 27 was the final. Commanders played really, really well at the very end because they got the ball. They were about to get the ball back. Russell Wilson, it was like fourth down before they were going to punt until Johnny Newton ended up going offsides. Johnny Newton, going offsides, rookie out of Illinois, ended up going offsides and just ended the game. It gave an automatic first down to the Steelers. They need it. That's how it ended. A horrible way to kind of end it, though, right? Honestly, not a very good ending for this team. Excuse me. Not a very good ending for this team. It's okay. But it happens. But it's one of those things where you're like, dang it. You know what I mean? We could have gotten the ball back to try to score and get a field goal out of this to make it 30-28. But then he draws the neutral zone, automatic first. Steelers knee it and win the game. The Steelers played really, really well physically and on offense. They did a really good job of containing Jaden Daniels in a lot of aspects. Now, Russell Wilson, 14 for 28, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Jalen Warren, 66 yards, 14 carries. Najee Harris had 53 yards, 21 carries, and a touchdown. Patterson had 14 yards and three carries. George Pickens had made some incredible catches in this game. Pickens is probably my circle moment for this team. 91 yards, 5 receptions, and a touchdown. Mike Williams had a big 32-yard touchdown reception. Pat Freiermuth had a touchdown as well with 17 yards and 3 receptions. The big circle moment for me was George Pickens. The play of him was incredible, making solid catches, clutch catches, eye for the ball, acceleration after the catch. Pickens had a game, even though it was the stats were like, okay, 91 yards, a touchdown. The stats are pretty solid, not like a Jamar Chase, but it was still a game where he helped out and he won. He helped his team out. And he looked really, really good in this game. Circle moment for me is George Pickens for the Steelers. Another positive circle moment for me would be how they played physically. I think they played really, really well physically. They lined up on the line of scrimmage really, really well with this team. They contained Jaden Daniels really well on defense. If you want to look at the team stats here, also, they sacked Jaden Daniels 3 times. Good thing for them. And that really drives the Commanders back. You want to look at another positive circle moment? Commanders can run the ball really well. They only held them to 60 rushing yards total. Another positive circle moment for the Steelers on defense. This defense is salty, man. They also had third down efficiency, which was great. They won on third down, 7 for 16. They kind of, minimized the running game a lot, and they contained them offensively, and that's a recipe for success for the Steelers. Only really negative circle moment, and also time of possession, 36 minutes compared to their 23 minutes. So positive, the negative circle moments that you can think of would be the two turnovers. That was pretty much it, really. 2 turnovers for this team, 1 interception, 1 fumble. That's really all that you can say wrong about the Steelers. They looked really, really good and really physical this past Sunday against the Commanders. Now they got a solid game this coming up Sunday against the Ravens, where they're going to need to bring that physicality. They're going to need to bring everything that happened right in this game against the Ravens. So they're going to need to bring all that energy, all that passion, all the Steelers Nation, let's ride, like Russell Wilson would say, all that in to this Ravens game Sunday. This is their first. Did you know this is their first divisional game? Their first divisional game Sunday. They got to bring everything that they've been playing with against this tough Ravens offense and tough Ravens team. So 28-27 was the final score. That's really all I got to say about the Steelers. They played really, really well. I'm going to get to more on the Steelers when we talk about the Ravens game later. But because I was kind of, wrong on this, and I'll get to you, and I'll tell you why about the Steelers. So 28-27 was the final score. They beat the Commanders by a point. Let's talk about the Commanders really quick before we go on to the other 2 ball games. Let's talk about Jaden Daniels, and let's talk about this offense. They did the best that they could. They scored. They did well. Jaden Daniels, no touchdowns, no turnovers. They only had 1 fumble, but that was it. No interception. 17 for 34, 202 yards. He only had 5 yards rushing. Austin Eckler, 44 yards, 13 carries with 2 touchdowns. And then Jeremy McNichols had 4 carries, 7 yards, and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin had 113 yards and 5 receptions. Played really, really well in this ball game. 22.6 yards per play for Terry McLaurin. I mean, he's been an absolute stud for Jaden Daniels in this offense. And then Noah Brown had 33 yards, 3 receptions. Zach Ertz, 31 yards, 4 receptions, almost a first down. I thought it was kind of a first down until I saw the ball where the ball was, and I was like, it's not a first down. Steelers made a good stand, good call. But this offense, man, and listen, say what you want. They're still 7-3. There's still obviously a lot to play for. This loss didn't really set them back a whole lot, honestly. They have a huge shot tonight to win and to go 8-3 and make the Eagles go 7-3. A huge shot tonight for this team to take another command of this NFC East division and to be number one in this division. Huge shot on the road tonight. So the Commanders, and we're covering that game as well tonight. So the Commanders have a huge shot at that, right? So it's just they have something to hang their heads on. They just played a really, really good physical football team, and then they came up just a little bit short. Not that the Commanders played all that bad. It's the Steelers played a tiny bit better. Remember when I was talking about if you watch my college episodes on Tuesday, where the Steelers end up, where Georgia Tech ended up playing just a tad bit better than Miami. That's how I'm using this example. The Steelers just played a little bit better than the Commanders. That's just how it happens. That's how it happens in football sometimes. So let's talk about the circle moments before we move on to the other two games. Because we got a good bit to talk about here on this episode today. Circle moments, if you want to look at it, positive, 5 for 14, not too bad on third down. Could have been a little bit better, but not too bad on third down. I would say positive circle moments would be, passing. They held passing, 182 yards passing. The 113 of those went to Terry McLaurin. He was a positive circle moment in this game. Austin Eckler on the ground was a positive circle moment, even though they didn't have a good day running the ball. And I would say those are some good positive circle moments. They hung in there physically with Pittsburgh on the line of scrimmage as well. So I think those are some positive circle moments to take away from the Commanders. Some negatives, 3 sacks allowed. That kind of puts a damper on things. 6 punts puts a damper on things. They had a huge fumble in the game. That takes away some things. 5 penalties for 41 yards. Not the greatest. Not bad, but not the greatest either. And then the 60 rushing yards, only being held to 60 rushing yards, not getting enough on the ground kind of did hurt them as well. I think that was the biggest negative circle moment for this Commanders offense and this Commanders football team this past weekend. But they can bounce back from this. Like I said, tonight is a huge game for them. They can bounce back from this. Tonight, I think if they do lose, kind of sets them back. But probably more than this game does, but if they win tonight, they get some momentum back, and they take a huge leap in the NFC East for sure as they play the Eagles tonight, and it's going to be a little bit tough. So we'll see. Tough game tonight. Huge NFC East showdown, dude. We are doing 3 divisional games this weekend. 3 divisional games, and then the classic quarterback rivalry type matchup as well. So it's going to be a fun weekend of NFL football and a fun week of Pigskin Frenzy reporting these games. We're doing a Thursday night game. We're going to we're stopping all of this week's coverage after the 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central game, right? So we're stopping all that after that. But man, it's going to be a doozy, man. It's going to be a doozy this weekend. Commanders tonight, and they play the Eagles in Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central, Amazon Prime. Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on the call. Don't miss it. If you subscribe, watch it. If you're not subscribed, get it quickly and subscribe and watch the game tonight live. Final score was 28-27. Steelers defeat the Commanders. I rolled the dice on that one. Got it wrong, but, that's how it is in football. Moving on, let's talk about games I got right. The 2 games I got right. Lions at Texans. This was an entertaining game, wasn't it? Last Sunday Night Football's game, Lions at Texans. It was back and forth, really, well, not really back and forth. It was all Texans at first. Texans were going off at first. Texans were playing very physical ball. C.J. Stroud was playing really good on offense. Jared Goff threw a bunch of picks. He had 5 interceptions to finish this game. And then in the second half, C.J. Stroud started turning the ball over. He turned the ball over quite a few times. It was like Pick City up in this place. And I was thinking to myself, man, they were turning the ball over quite a bit. if we look at both of these teams, Stroud had 2 interceptions. And then Goff had 5. And then it was 23-13 to, kick off the fourth quarter. And then the Lions got a 10 point, got 10 unanswered late and tied it up. And then on defense, stopped Houston from coming back because they were in control to kick a field goal. Their defense played well, stopped them. And then after that, the Lions got the ball. And then they won. They actually won. The Lions did it. Jake Bates was the saving grace, the hero, by just this much. If you're watching on YouTube, look at my fingers, just this much. The hair of his chinny chin chin, he got it through. Nailed a bomb downfield, and they won 26-23. Final score, Lions 26, Texans 23, after Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions. That's crazy. And the Lions found a way to beat the Texans, and the Texans lost this ball game. Winners first. Let's talk about the Lions. The Lions did not need to win this game. If you want to be honest, the Lions did not need to win the game, but here we are. They won it. They won it off of heart and grit and determination in the second half, and they did that, especially in the fourth quarter. The Lions, Jared Goff had probably the worst game of his career, in my opinion. I really do think so. 15 for 30, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions. That's a record, by the way. Before that, the Colts beat the Bears after one of their quarterbacks had 5 interceptions, and the Colts ended up winning the game, which is crazy. But 5 interceptions, Jared Goff never seems to amaze me, right? Did not amaze me. 19 carries, 71 yards to Jahmyr Gibbs. David Montgomery had 32 yards, 12 carries, and a touchdown. Laporta had 66 yards, 3 receptions, and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown had six receptions, 60 yards, 60 yards, and a touchdown. And got it there. Carlton Davis played really, really well. 2 interceptions, 4 tackles. Brian Branch had 10 total tackles. Jack Campbell had 7 total tackles. Alex Onlazone had 5 total tackles, and this defense played really, really well late in the game for sure. So if you want to look at the positive circle moments of this game, the heart and determination of this Lions football team in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. Also, that's a huge circle moment for this team. How they overcame those turnovers and how they did not let that get to their heads was beyond me, because they were turning the ball over like it was nobody's business. And not only that, the time of possession wasn't there on their side, but they ended up winning the game. On paper, if you want to look at the total stat yardage, the Lions on paper beat the Texans, but the turnovers were just so much. You just wouldn't think they would have won off that. But here's the deal. Grit, heart, and determination by Dan Campbell's team never seemed to disappoint, and it didn't disappoint in Houston. So that's the positive circle moment. If you want to talk about the other positive circle moment, their third down efficiency was 7 for 12. They converted on third down like it was nobody's business. Their yards per play was 5.6. That was a good positive circle moment. Jake Bates was probably the player of the game, hitting bombs down the field with his leg. He was a huge positive circle moment for this football team, and he played really, really well against the Texans on special teams for the Detroit Lions. The negative circle moment was the 5 interceptions. That's really all you got to say. 5 interceptions, 5 turnovers for this football team. That was the main thing. The main thing for this team, right? I will say another negative circle moment was the offensive line. They could not really hardly contain and block for Jared Goff. Now, the positive circle moment out of that would be they didn't get any sacks. So 0 sacks allowed, even though the offensive line did not play really well, and they got beat by Houston's defensive line, right? It was a defensive line that was hurt. Will Anderson didn't play that night because of his ankle injury. So it was kind of tough for the Lions to try to overcome that they were making bad plays because of that offensive line. He didn't have time to throw the ball. And when he did have time to throw the ball, it was on Jared Goff because he threw 5 picks. But huge negative circle moment there. If he plays like that again, I don't know how the Lions are going to overcome that, but I wouldn't assume that the Lions are going to play like that again with the 5 interceptions. If they do, going to be shocked. But Dan Campbell was on him about it, most likely. They're going to learn from it, grow from it, and move on. But they kind of came away with a win, surprising. And if they're going to come away with a win with 5 interceptions, to me, this is a true Super Bowl contender. They're 8-1, true Super Bowl contender in my book if they are winning on the heels of Jared Goff throwing 5 interceptions, right? That's just beyond me that he threw that many and they still won the football game. Beyond me. This is a legit Super Bowl contender. They're not to be taken lightly. They're the leaders of the pack in the NFC, bar none. And they lead the NFC North right now. 26-23 was the score. The Lions this week have the Jaguars. Jaguars at 1 Eastern, noon Central. Jaguars at Lions. Home game for the Lions. Tough outing for Jaguars. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Not covering the game, but it's on the injury report. Jaguars at Lions, home game for Detroit. Let's talk about Houston really quick before we talk about this Monday Night Football game and move on to the injury report and move on with the rest of our show. Texans, man. If you want, let's just talk about C.J. Stroud for a second. He worked his butt off in this game. 19 for 33, 232 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. That's not the best stat line, but he was playing really, really well in the first half of this ball game. Turned the ball over in the second half twice, but it happens. I mean, it's a tough game. 25 carries, 46 yards, and a touchdown for Joe Mixon. John Mechie had 5 receptions, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Dalton Schultz had 66 yards and 3 receptions. Mixon had 44 yards and 2 receptions as well. Tank Dell stepped up with 39 yards and 5 receptions as well. This is with Nico Collins being out of this game as well. And no Stephon Diggs. Defense played really, really well, man. I mean, To'o, 6 total tackles, an interception. Jimmy Ward had 5 total tackles and an interception. Al Shire had 8 total tackles. Kalen Bullock had 3 total tackles and an interception. Kamari Lassiter had 2 interceptions. The rookie out of Georgia had 2 interceptions in this ball game. So the defense played really, really well and physical. Up front, they were dominating that Lions offensive line the whole game, not letting Jared Goff make good throws and not letting him have time to throw the ball. They didn't sack him, but they broke up a lot of plays and messed up a lot of their plays and forced a lot of 3-and-outs due to winning on the line of scrimmage against the Lions offensive line. So they did really, really well in that regard. But the counter that the defensive line for the Lions just beat out their offensive line, right? So it was a line of scrimmage war, and the defensive side of things for the Lions won, and the defensive side of things for the Houston Texans won. And later in the game, and as the game went on, it just kind of got harder and harder for Stroud to operate now that their defense started stepping up. This was without Zadarius Smith. If you put a Zadarius Smith on the edge there, what's going to happen there? They blitzed a lot. They used a lot of good packages to pressure C.J. Stroud and broke up C.J. Stroud's plays. Played really, really good defense at the tail end of that game to stop them and to set Jake Bates up in prime position and success to win this ball game, right? So for the Houston Texans, though, there's some positive circle moments. They won a line of scrimmage early in the game, especially on defense. I think that the defense for this team played really, really well turnover-wise, and they snagged 5 interceptions. So really, really well, defensively for this team. They were efficient on third down, 6 for 15. Not all the way great, but not bad. Only 4 penalties. That's not great, but it's not too bad. 4 penalties for 30 yards, not too bad, right? That's one long shot play, right? So not too bad. And they won at time of possession, 32 minutes compared to their 27 minutes. So not too bad. Those are the positive circle moments if you want to look at it that way. If you want to look at the negatives, I mean, they're the 2 turnovers, obviously, and the 4 sacks compared to their none. They actually got to C.J. Stroud. So C.J. Stroud got sacked 4 times in this game, and it kind of set them back. And I think that's a big circle moment, negative circle moment there, right there, if you hear the pen going there for this team. And I think that was a huge reason why they lost the game, 4 sacks, and it set the Lions up in perfect success to win the game. So that was a big one. And then that's pretty much it if you want to look at it. I mean, 56 rushing yards. They didn't run the ball as effective as I thought they were going to with Joe Mixon, but that's fine. They passed really well with 192 yards. They just got outgained yards per play and on the ground for sure. So those are really the negative circle moments. But the Texans still have a lot to play for. They're still a solid team. D'Amico Ryans is still coaching this team really, really well. I'm not saying they are going to win it all or anything like that, but they're in prime position to probably win the AFC South again. 6-4 right now. This Monday, the Monday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central. They have the Cowboys in Dallas, so they're going to be in state still, but going to Dallas instead of Houston. So Houston at Dallas. This coming up Monday night, 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central on ESPN. They have the Cowboys. We're not covering that game, but it's quite interesting that they are playing in that game. We're going to see how they do there. I mean, I think they should win that game, but we're going to figure it out. I mean, an injury-ridden Cowboys game they should pick up a win there. So we'll see how that goes for the Texans. Final score of this game was 26-23. Again, amazing performance by the Lions, especially late after 5 turnovers. Despite those turnovers, sloppy game, Lions pull through and win and defeat the Texans 26-23. Lions go to 8-1. Texans go to 6-4. Lions Sunday have the Jaguars. Monday Night Football, Cowboys and Texans there. Let's talk about Monday Night Football before we move on to the injury report and the league news and then the Week 11 preview and predictions. Let's talk about our last game of the Week 10 recap, and that's Dolphins at Rams. I rolled the dice on this one for sure because I thought that this was a good spot for the Dolphins. For some reason, I was thinking in my head, let's roll the dice. I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I think this could be a really, really good spot for them. And it was. I got it right. I rolled a perfect 12 on the dice. Final score of this game, not pretty, but final score of this game was Dolphins 23, Rams 15. Dolphins 23, Rams 15. This is going to be a game that the Rams look back on a little bit and think, we got that hurt us. And it is. It is the game that hurts us. They're 4-5, but if the Rams win out, I mean, they should be prime in position for a playoff spot. I'm not giving up on the Rams yet. I just thought I've been picking the Rams twice. I picked the Rams against the Vikings, got it right. I picked the Rams against the Seahawks, got it right. I picked the Rams to lose to the Dolphins, and I got it right. So I've been pretty accurate against the Rams this season. So far, I mean, with the Lions, I picked them to lose against the Lions, and they did. I've been pretty accurate on predicting the Rams this season. I have been really accurate on predicting the Rams this season, probably 100%. If we're covering these games, 100% accurate for picking the Rams so far. So 23-15, I thought the Dolphins were in a good spot to win here, and they were. Let's talk about the winning team, the Dolphins. Tua, 20 for 28, 207 yards, a touchdown, 1 interception. So accuracy and attempts, he was fine. Throwing the ball, he threw the ball well. The running was really good. Devon Achane had 12 carries, 37 yards. Malik Washington, no Raheem Mostert, but Malik Washington had an 18-yard rush and a touchdown. Malik Washington also had a 17-yard reception. Mostert didn't run the ball as well, but Mostert also had receiving yards. I mean, 34 receiving yards, 2 receptions for Mostert. Tyreek Hill had an 11-yard run. Jalen Waddle was a really big impact in this game. 57 yards, 3 receptions. Tyreek Hill had 16 yards, 3 receptions, and a touchdown. Smith had 45 yards, 3 receptions. And Odell Beckham had 17 yards and 2 receptions. The defensive play was the most important thing. I think the defense played really, really well in this game and kind of kept them in it. I mean, if you want to look at that, Jordan Brooks, man, played really, really well at linebacker. 11 total tackles. 11 total tackles for this team. Jalen Ramsey had 6 total tackles. Fuller had, Kendall Fuller had 5 total tackles. I'm trying to get my notes good. Anthony Walker at linebacker had 9 total tackles and an interception, so he did really, really well there. I would say some positive circle moments for this Dolphins team was the defense. They played really, really well, pressured Stafford a lot. They got to him 4 times, sacked. They had 4 sacks in this game, so they got to Stafford a lot. I would say that they snagged 2 turnovers, a fumble and an interception, and I think that really is what got the Dolphins in this game. The Dolphins' defense was kind of just better than the Rams' defense in this ball game, and I think that's what really got me, and that's a positive circle moment for this Miami team. They were efficient on 3rd down, 6 for 13. They didn't run the ball. That's a negative circle moment for me. They didn't run the ball as well. A huge positive for me would be the penalties. They had 1 penalty for 15 yards, and that's it. They played really, really disciplined football. Those are the main positive circle moments for me. I think another one would be, the main negatives would be running the ball, the 2 turnovers that they had, and I think that's really about it. And they allowed 3 sacks, 2 crucial sacks that they don't need. I think that was about it. Negative circle moments for the Dolphins. They looked really, really good in this game. It's not too late for the Dolphins. I think the bad luck came in when Tua was out, and they're 3-6. If they can figure out a way to win out and grab a playoff spot late, then that could be good for the Dolphins. But the reason why they were 3-6 now is probably because Tua was out. Tua's tackling was not good. It was unsafe, and I was worried about that during the game as well. If you've seen that, go back and look at the tackling form that he had. It was in that game, but we didn't want him to get hurt again, so we want him to stay healthy. But nonetheless, with Tua, and if Tua plays smart, efficient, and stays healthy, the Dolphins could probably win out, maybe, and could get right back into the thick of things late. The good thing about November for the NFL, and especially when you lose games like this, or lose games like have 6 losses, is you have chance after chance after chance. It's not like college. College, it's like, okay, three losses, 2 losses, you're pushing it. 3, it's like, you're pretty much good and well done. And you're going to have help and get lucky to get back in. For NFL, it's not the case. If you have 6 losses, you have to win out, which is hard to do, yes, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So, like I said, record doesn't always show how good you are, right? And record always doesn't mean a lot. Now, sometimes it does if you watch the eye test. For Pigskin Frenzy and for Joel Norris, I value eye test. I 100% value eye test on both sports, in college and NFL. I value the eye test. And I thought that the Dolphins didn't play the best, but I thought they played better than Los Angeles this past Monday. And I think that if the Dolphins keep going the way they're going, they have a shot. I'm just saying, they have a shot. 23-15 was the final score. Dolphins this Sunday have the Raiders. 1 Eastern, noon Central, home game for the Raiders. Raiders at Dolphins. That could be a winnable game for the Raiders, or for the Dolphins. If they go, they'll be 4-6, and then they're definitely right back into the swing of things as they continue that momentum. So we'll see how they do there. Rams. Let's talk about the Rams really quick, and let's talk about the positive circle moments that they had. I thought that Nakua playing really good was good. 98 yards, 9 receptions. I thought he was a positive circle moment. Cooper Kupp had 80 yards, 7 receptions. He was a positive circle moment. Kyron Williams doing the best he can on the ground. 62 yards, 15 carries was a positive circle moment. I thought the defense played well to keep them in it, and I think that was a positive circle moment as well. They snagged 2 turnovers. In this game. So that was a positive circle moment for the Rams team as well. Here is what I really didn't like. and this is the negative circle moment, 6 penalties for 64 yards compared to their 1 penalty. They had more penalties, which shot themselves in the foot. They had 2 turnovers. They were sacked 4 times. They weren't efficient on third down at all. They were 3 for 12 on third down, and they did not run the ball to their best of ability with Kyren Williams. 70 yards total. They really need to use Blake Corum. I think they need to balance out the running game a lot more. And I really want the Rams to do that. They have Kyren Williams, yes, but they also have help to balance out that running game with Kyren Williams, and that's a rookie running back, Blake Corum. If they can do that, they can be a more dangerous team on offense. I think the line of scrimmage, they got beaten in a lot of areas in the line of scrimmage, and I think they weren't as physical as the Dolphins' defensive line, and I think right there is what kind of hurt them there. I think the Dolphins' pass defense is what kind of hurt Stafford in this game as well, and he didn't have any touchdowns. He had a pick, and I think that was it for the Rams. Yeah, he had an interception, 293, 0 touchdowns and an interception for Stafford, 32 for 46. Yeah, it's just the defense was all over the Rams, and I think they were more physical than the Rams. I think this loss sets them back a tiny bit, not a whole lot because they're 4-5. I think that they can still be in it, still win it. They just got to play better in some areas. I really value running the ball. In a lot of my keys when I do preview predictions, I establish the running game a lot because I value running the football. A lot of people are going to sit there and say, you're 24, 25 age range, and you're young, man. You should value the cool, flashy offenses. I do. But to me, I like smash mouth football. I like running the football. I like passing the ball and flashy stuff. Don't get me wrong. I just love the smash mouth, jetting off the field, running down the field, running the football. I value that. I think if the Rams can balance their offense out running the ball wise with Williams and Corum, they would be so much better. And it would be kind of hard for them to stop that running tandem. That's just my deal. Listen, I'm not Sean McVay. I'm not going to tell him what to do. He's the head coach of that team. I'm not saying that, but I would just use Blake Corum more, man. Get him some reps. Get some ground. Cook him. Preheat with Blake Corum a little bit and balance out that running game with Kyren Williams as well. Don't stop using Williams. Williams is a valuable part of that offense, but rotate him. Balance him out, man. And I think that'd be really come a long way for your offense in eventually. Rams Sunday. Do need to bounce back, obviously. They have the Patriots at Patriots. So 1 Eastern, noon Central. They have to travel to New England. So at New England this Sunday for the Los Angeles Rams. So unfamiliar territory for the Patriots. Going to be, or for the Rams, going to be a little bit cooler than it is out in L.A. So we'll see if the Rams bounce back in that game as well. Final score of this game was 23-15. Dolphins defeat the Rams. And both of them are going to try to look to get some momentum going. And for the Dolphins, keep up the momentum. But for the Rams, get some momentum back within after losing that Monday Night Football game in L.A. So 23-15, Dolphins defeat the Rams. That was the Week 10 recap. Let's discuss the injury report, who's in and who's out. We're going to discuss some news around the league and discuss some slight coaching changes. And then we'll discuss the top games for what we're covering this week and the Week 12 preview and prediction. So injury report goes like this. Not a whole lot, but Buccaneers offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs has a sprained MCL, and he's expected to miss a couple of weeks due to that sprained MCL. So thoughts and prayers are with Tristan Wirfs. Hopefully he gets back and healthy and and gets ready and right and healthy and safe, and he is okay and gets off the list quickly. Cowboys quarterback, and this is big news, by the way. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, hamstring, huge development in the past week or two. I said he was going to miss a few weeks. Turned into a month. It was a lot going on with Jerry Jones saying, hey, he's going to be on IR. He's not going to be on IR. What's going on? It's official, though. Now, if you've been reading the headlines, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott has a torn hamstring. He has undergone season-ending surgery and will miss the rest of the year. So he will be back next season for 2025, but he is out for the rest of the season. Cowboys lose their quarterback for the rest of the year. Cooper Rush or Trey Lance will be the starter. Don't rightly know who will be yet, but we will figure it out. But thoughts and prayers are with Dak Prescott. Hopefully he heals quite nicely and he makes a speedy recovery there. Tough break for Dallas, going in for the rest of the season and for next season. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence has a sprained shoulder. He will miss his second straight game Sunday. He is out versus the Lions Sunday. Mac Jones will start for the Jaguars at quarterback in Detroit Sunday afternoon. So tough break for the Jaguars. Already having a tough season. Now they lose their star quarterback for a second straight week. Thoughts and prayers are with Trevor Lawrence. Hopefully he heals quite nicely and everything goes okay with him and his shoulder, and he heals and he is good to go soon for the Jaguars. So hopefully he makes a speedy recovery. Big news for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are planning to designate running back Isaiah Pacheco because he hurt his knee, to return off of IR. He will not play Sunday versus the Bills. He is unlikely to play Sunday versus the Bills. But to keep note that Isaiah Pacheco is on his way back to the Kansas City Chiefs. So they already got Kareem Hunt. They get another huge part of their weapon, another weapon back on the ground game with Isaiah Pacheco for this offense. So huge boost for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. It's been kind of back and forth, hot and cold this season. Huge boost for this Kansas City offense. And huge boost there. So big news for Isaiah Pacheco. Big news for Kansas City Chiefs. Hopefully he's making a speedy recovery, and welcome back to Isaiah Pacheco soon. The Chiefs are also planning to designate defensive lineman Charles Omenihu off of IR, and that's a huge boost for their defensive line as well, with their defense already being as salty as it is. So good on Charles. They bring back Charles. Good there for the defense for the Kansas City Chiefs. So two big recovery news for the Chiefs. Welcome back off of IR, Charles and Isaiah to the Kansas City Chiefs. Unlikely to play Sunday, but they should be back sooner rather than later. So last but not least, Eagles offensive tackle Jordan Mailata, hamstring has been activated off of IR. Do not know if he's playing tonight. He's questionable, but he is activated to return off of IR. So they get a big boost, the Eagles do, off of their offensive line, and that is really good news for the Philadelphia Eagles for their team. Two more really quick. Commanders running back Brian Robinson with his hamstring. He is off of IR. He is off the injury report. He is playing tonight versus the Eagles. They get a balance in their running game back with Eckler and Robinson. So good for the Commanders back, and they need a lot in their running game right now, especially after last weekend. So good for Brian Robinson coming back for this Commanders team. And last but not least, Commanders cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, dealing with his hamstring still, is out tonight versus the Eagles, so he will not play tonight against Philadelphia on Amazon Prime. So thoughts and prayers with everybody on this list. Welcome back to people on this list, and thoughts and prayers for everybody on this list. And hopefully everybody heals and makes speedy recoveries soon. So that was the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report. Let's move on to some news across the league really quick. The Indianapolis Colts are starting quarterback Anthony Richardson for the rest of the season. They are giving the job back to him. Joe Flacco will be benched for the rest of the year. They are now trusting in Anthony Richardson that he will be the guy moving forward for this team, and they are giving the reins and the keys back to him. So let's see how he does after the benching for the past 2 to 3 weeks, and let's see how he does in these next few games. Quite interesting to see how he has grown from it a little bit, and if he has learned a lot from it there. So let's see what happens. Could it be a culture issue with the Colts, or could it be just Anthony Richardson? I've been hearing a lot of both, so we're going to figure that out. He is back for the Indianapolis Colts, coming back this Sunday. So good on him. The Cowboys bringing back head coach Mike McCarthy is unlikely. Let's talk about this for a little bit. You already know how I feel about it. Honestly, Mike McCarthy, not really the real head coach, and I've already said that he's really not. But whatever head coach they get, I know I'm going to be real. If ownership in front office does not change their ways, which they have not so far, The Cowboys, regardless of head coach, is going to be the same. I've said that, and have said that repeatedly. I'm beating a dead horse when I say it. I do not trust anything that Dallas is doing right now. Whether they bring McCarthy back, whether they bring him and let him go. I hate it for Mike McCarthy. I don't think Mike McCarthy has had a real fair shot at being the Cowboys coach. You guys are going to disagree with me on that. But nothing is going to change regardless unless the head honcho and ownership changes. That's my take. That's it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. That's me talking about it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it because it's just me beating a dead horse at this point. It really is. It's me beating a dead horse at this point. I really do believe that. Nothing's going to change unless they find a way to change themselves. Point blank. That's the news out of Dallas. Let's talk about this, though, before we move on to the preview predictions of the top games for week 12 or for week 11. The Bears have made a change in offense. They have fired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. Big news out of Chicago there. And I'm not going to name offensive coordinator candidates there, but let's talk about this for a little bit. Bears are 4-5. They have struggled the past couple of weeks on offense, especially against the Cardinals and the Patriots, teams that they probably should have beaten more so than likely not. First off, play calling doesn't make sense. So Matt Eberflus, getting rid of Shane Waldron was a correct call. But if Matt Eberflus does not try to change the trajectory of this season, they're going to end up I hope not. I'm not going to make any predictions, but I don't want Matt Eberflus finding his way out the door as well. They are on the clock as well if nothing changes. Caleb Williams will be the last person to go, obviously, because they just got there. They just drafted him. They have the weapons. They have the pieces around him. They are building something on offense. I do not think that the Bears are going to win it all, obviously, this season, but they are in development. They are in development. Don't get me wrong. They're in development, man. They look like a solid football team, bro. They really, really do. But just hear me out. All right? Just hear me out on this. They are a solid football team, but or a good football team, but they aren't there yet. And I think offensive-wise, and some pieces they need help with are the reason why they're not there yet. They got the players. They do. Rome Dunze. They have Caleb Williams. They have Keenan Allen. DJ Moore. They have DeAndre Swift. They just need some more pieces. Number one, they need an offensive line. I think half and half is part of it is what's wrong with the offense right now. I think Caleb Williams holds on to the ball too long. He needs to get better at that. They need to train him and teach him and coach him up. Hey, man, do not hold on to the ball too long. I think part of it is on the O-line itself. They can't block for him, and he didn't have time to throw. So I think part of the reason for their not so good success on offense is because he holds on to the ball too long and they don't block for him. So it's half and half. They have allowed 15 sacks the past two games. I think 9 versus the Cardinals and 6 versus the Patriots. So 15 sacks total in the past 2 weeks. They play the Packers Sunday, who the Packers are known to get to the quarterback. So that's going to be tough for the Packers, for the Bears. So they are known for that. They have to get a better O-line and get some pieces around there on the O-line, and they have to call plays a lot better so Caleb Williams can get the ball out quicker. The receivers can have time better to run their routes. The plays don't make sense. They're out of sync. And if you can be in sync and you can protect Caleb Williams, you should be fine. Now, you're going to have to start and learn and grow from this. And if you do not, and it's still the same thing, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not doing your job, and then everybody else is on the clock in Chicago. So that's how I feel about that. They fired Shane Waldron. Let's see where they go from here, and let's see how the offense is going to change with Chicago Bears. So that's the latest news around the league. it is time for the preview predictions. Week 11. I keep saying week 12. I guess I'm thinking about college. Week 11 preview predictions for the NFL. The top games that we are covering for this week for the NFL. Week 11 preview and predictions. Let's kick it off with tonight's game. Thursday Night Football on Prime, 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central, Amazon Prime. Thursday Night Football. Commanders at Eagles. Commanders at Eagles. Commanders are 7-3. Eagles are 7-2. And they really need to try to get some momentum back. The Commanders do. The Eagles are looking to keep up with that momentum after beating Dallas this past Sunday. So Commanders at Eagles. Something's got to give. A top NFC East showdown here to take a lead in the NFC East here. So the Commanders' keys are simple. Number one, slow down their running game. Philadelphia is currently second in rushing offense in the league right now. However, Washington is currently 28th in rushing defense in the league. Not a good recipe there. So if you can figure out a way to slow them down on the ground and find a way to capitalize off of that, that's a huge win for you tonight. If you guys can be able to contain the running game between Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Gainwell, and others. Number two, establish the run game. You get Brian Robinson back off of injury. So Washington is currently fourth in rushing offense. The caveat to that, though, is the Eagles are currently fifth in rushing defense in the league. If you can try to put that defense on its heels, run the ball well with Jaden Daniels, B-Rob, and Austin Eckler, that could be a recipe for success for you tonight in Philadelphia. So let's see how they do there. And number three, start off fast. If you can figure out a way to start off fast, get that defense on its heels a little bit, score quickly, and get some momentum on your side early, that should be good for you as well. So those are the three keys for the Commanders that I see fit against the Eagles tonight. So here are the Eagles' keys. Number one, don't let them start off fast. Jaden Daniels is a white-hot rookie quarterback. He is playing really, really well. He is a fast-paced quarterback, so just slow him down, contain him, and do not let them start off fast in this game. Number two, slow down their running game. Washington had 60 rushing yards versus the Steelers. If you can figure out a way to bring them to that, or even in the early 100s even, you should be fine in this game if you can outrush them. So I think that's really, really a big key there. Here, it's the running game. Number three, find a way to contain Jaden Daniels. I mean, if you can slow him down, pressure him, make him play like a little bit of a rookie, and, you know, make him throw some mistakes just a little bit, you have a shot at winning this ball game tonight on Amazon Prime. Those were the Eagles' keys. Those were the Commanders' keys. Who do I have winning this ball game? I think this game's going to be back and forth. I think Jaden Daniels is going to play really, really tough. I think the Commanders are going to play tough tonight, too. They're going to play physical ball against this team. They played physical against a very physical team against the Steelers. I think they play well. However, I just think this Eagles running team is just too dynamic on the ground. I think Saquon Barkley is going to get his yards. I like the Eagles in this one tonight. I think they're going to squeak by with a win. Close. But I think the Eagles get it done tonight, and they beat the Commanders close. The Eagles get it done. They win 21-17. Eagles 21, Commanders 17. Eagles defeat the Commanders 21-17. Eagles go to 8-2. Eagles go to 8-2. Commanders go to 7-4, and the Eagles take a hold of the NFC East race. The Eagles get the win over the Commanders tonight. Okay, next up, NFC North matchup. Packers at Bears. Packers at Bears. Packers are 6-3, coming off of a bye against the Lions. Tough loss there. They're trying to get some momentum back and get a win on the get a W on the win on the add a number to the win column. And the Bears are trying to get some momentum back on their offense and just try to get everything back in order for them. So NFC North matchup, rivalry game in Chicago, Soldier Field. Packers at Bears. Bears are 4-5. Packers are 6-3. Something's got to give in this matchup. Packers keys are simple. Number one, minimize the penalties. Not very good when it comes to committing these penalties, especially last 2 weeks ago against the Lions. Minimize the penalties, and you should be fine in this ball game. Number two, win on third down. If you can win on third down, you should be good, and you got to do better at third down. 3 for 12 against the Lions. 3 for 12 on third down against the Lions. You can be more efficient on third down and capitalize on that. You should come away with a win, especially with the players you got on offense. So, win on third down. Number 3, find a way to get to Caleb Williams. Find a way to pressure Caleb Williams, sack Caleb Williams, and force 3 and outs. So pressure him, find a way to get to him, and that's how you can get a good win in Chicago Sunday. Number 1 for the Bears keys. Protect Caleb Williams. Big number 1 key here is protect Caleb Williams. 15 sacks allowed in the last 2 games versus the Cardinals and the Patriots. That is rough. 15 sacks in the past 2 weeks. That's a lot of sacks. Protect Caleb Williams at all costs in this game, and you should find a way to get everything going. Let's see how they do there. Number 2, just like I just said, find a way to get the offense going. If you can find a way to get it going and in sync, this may be a good game for the Chicago Bears, and they can actually find a way to pull off the upset here against Green Bay. Number 3, slow down their running game. Green Bay currently is 3rd in rushing offense in the league. However, Chicago was currently 24th in rushing defense in the league. If you can find a way to step up on defense, find a way to contain and slow down Josh Jacobs on the ground, you should be fine in this ball game. Packers keys just a minute ago. Bears keys there. Who do I have winning this ball game in this NFC North matchup? I think it's going to be close in the first half. I think it's going to be back and forth a little bit. I think the Bears play a tiny bit better on offense, but I don't think all their problems are fixed just yet, like that after getting rid of Shane Waldron just a few days ago. I think the Packers win this game. I think they run away with it in the second half, and the Packers get them 31-17. Packers 31, Bears 17. I like the Packers to go to 7-3. And the Bears to go to 4-6. So Packers defeat the Bears 31-17. Packers beat Bears, and the Packers get some momentum back in with this win. So the Packers get the job done over the Bears. So AFC North matchup. Ravens at Steelers. 7-3 Ravens at Steelers. 7-2. Something's got to give here. Steelers are number 1 currently in the AFC North. However, they have not yet played an AFC North divisional game. They are playing one now. So something's got to give here. Let's go with the keys before I tell you about why I think why I was kind of conflicted on it. And at first I was really decisive about it, but now I was a little conflicted. But Ravens keys are simple. Number 1, start off fast. If you can start off fast and not start off how you've been starting off in games, you should be fine in the game. Number 2, win the time of possession battle. Keep your offense on the field. Make that defense tire out, because that's a stingy defense. If you can tire that defense out, you should have a shot at winning this ball game. Number 3, minimize the penalties. 11 penalties for 81 yards versus the Bengals. That's not good when it comes to penalties, right? So just slow the penalties down, play better and clean, more disciplined and clean football, and you should be fine in this ball game. Those were the Ravens' keys. The Steelers' keys are simple. Number 1, win the time of possession battle. Keep the Ravens' offense off the field as much as you can. You had 36 minutes against the Commanders. You did really, really good there. If you can do just like that against the Ravens, you most likely will win the ball game. So win the time of possession battle in this one. Number 2, slow down their running game. Baltimore is currently 1st in rushing offense in the league. Obviously, here's the caveat to that. Pittsburgh has the 4th rushing defense in the league. 4th. They're top 5 in rushing defense. They are good at finding a way to slow the running game down. So if you can slow down the run, you have a shot at surprising a lot of people in this ball game at home. Number 3, find a way to get to Lamar Jackson. How the Bengals did it in the first half, do it the whole game. And I believe the defense has some confidence within themselves to do that against Lamar Jackson in this ball game. So number 3, find a way to get to Lamar Jackson. Those are the Steelers' keys. This is the Ravens' keys. Who do I have winning this ball game? This game is going to be a very underrated game, and I thought this game was going to be a blowout. I said the Ravens were going to win this game, blowout, and it was going to be nothing. But I watched the Steelers play against the Commanders again. I've watched them play the past couple of weeks, and I'm like, this team's a little stingy on defense and on the offensive line, and Russell Wilson's trying to bring a balanced approach to this on offense. They are really stingy and physical, this Steelers team is. They're 7-2 without playing an AFC North game, obviously. I think that the Ravens find a way to win it on the road. I do not think it's going to be a big blowout as advertised. I think it's going to be a 10-point win for the Ravens. I think it's going to be 27-17. Ravens 27, Steelers 17, and I think it's going to be a 10-point win. And they run away with it very late, but the Ravens run away with it late, but the Ravens get the win, but the Steelers hold their own. Ravens win 27-17. The Ravens defeat the Steelers, take a hold of that AFC North. The Steelers drop their first AFC North game, and I like the Ravens in this one, but the Steelers hold their own. So the Ravens 27, Steelers 17. Ravens get the win over the Steelers. Last but not least, and then we will conclude, Chiefs at Bills. Of course we're doing the game, right? Chiefs at Bills. Haven't done a Bills game since the Ravens losses they've had earlier in the season. Well, this is a completely different team, I think, since that Ravens loss. They're 8-2. Chiefs 9-0 at Bills 8-2. The Chiefs survive another big-time game after the Broncos game. They blocked that field goal. And let me go on and tell you something, man. Their undefeated streak was at hand. They were 8-1. Now they're 9-0. Their defense has been coming away with some big, big plays, but they haven't faced a team like this just yet. And this Bills team on offense is doing really, really well. Besides turnovers, we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Bills are 8-2. Chiefs are 9-0. They're playing the Bills Mafia. The Bills Mafia is going to go wild in Orchard Park, New York, in Buffalo. Sunday, 4:25 Eastern, as far as I know. That's the kickoff. Excuse me, 4:25 is 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central on CBS. Sunday afternoon, Chiefs at Bills. Can they continue their undefeated streak, or will the Bills be the first team to do it? The Bills in the regular season, last time they played regular season, the Bills won. Last time they played each other overall, Chiefs won in the playoffs. The rematch in Orchard Park, something's got to give here. Here we go, a rivalry renewed between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Here are the Chiefs' keys. Chiefs' keys, that's pretty good if you say it 10 times fast. Chiefs' keys are simple to win this game. Number one, you got to win on third down. You had 7 for 16 on third down versus the Broncos. If you're 7 for 16, just like this, against how y'all did against Denver last week, you should be fine in this game to keep the drives going and capitalize off those drives. Win on third down if you're Mahomes and this offense. Number two, if you're the Chiefs defense, force turnovers. The Bills had 2 interceptions against the Colts last weekend. Josh Allen threw 2 picks against Indianapolis last weekend. Force the turnovers. If you can force those turnovers, you should be fine. The Bills steamrolled the Colts, though. So it didn't really matter at the end, I guess. But force those turnovers if you are the Chiefs defense, because this is probably the best defense the Bills have played so far this season. Chiefs defense are really, really good, and that's the reason why they're undefeated. Number 3, get as many 3-and-outs as you can. If you can find a way to force 3-and-outs and let Josh Allen off the field and get the ball back, then you have a shot at winning this ball game and going to 10-0 on the season. Those are the Chiefs' keys. Here are the Bills' keys for this one. Number 1, protect the football. Play clean football. Do not turn the ball over as much. If you do turn the ball over, make it minimal. But in reality, if you can, do not turn the ball over and protect the football in this ball game, because the Chiefs defense will capitalize on that, and Mahomes will find a way to capitalize on that as well. Get as many 3-and-outs as you can. They're pretty similar keys to the Chiefs. I mean, number 2, get as many 3-and-outs as you can. Force Mahomes to get off the field and capitalize off those 3-and-outs with your quarterback at offense, right? And score on that and capitalize on that. Number 3, force turnovers. Mahomes has thrown 9 interceptions so far on the year. Force turnovers, get the ball, fumbles, turnovers, get the ball if you're the Bills defense in this game. If you can find a way to do that, because the Bills have been playing consistent after that Ravens loss. They've been playing consistent football. They can find a way to play consistent in this game on the defensive side of things and get those turnovers, and they should get a huge home win here and give Chiefs their first loss on the year. So the note is this: who wins on third down and who comes away with turnovers? That's the big 2 questions in this ball game for me Sunday afternoon between the Chiefs and the Bills. So who do I have winning this ball game? I think this game is going to come down to, like I said, turnovers and who wins on third down more and who's more efficient on third down. Back and forth game. To me, back and forth game. I think the Chiefs are going to be in it. However, I think they have been teasing it too much to the point that they're gonna lose and they win. They're gonna lose and they're gonna win. They come away with a win. I think it's gonna catch up to them at some point, and I think that some point is Sunday. I think the Bills have been playing too consistent. I think the Bills come away with a win here and find a way to beat the Chiefs and hand them their first loss. I really do. The Bills win it. I think it's 27-24. I think it's a 3-point game. Bills 27, Chiefs 24. The Bills with if you want to talk about Tyler Bass at kicker, I think that Tyler Bass gets the win. 27-24, something that he didn't do in the playoffs. He revenges himself. Bills 27, Chiefs 24. The Bills hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season and get a huge home win in Orchard Park. So the Bills hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season and get a huge home win. That is the Week 11 preview and predictions. Those are the top games that we are doing this week. We're out of time. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X on Instagram, Pigskin_Frenzy. Just type that in. Follow all the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, check out the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. You'll find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy on there. Huge shout out to everybody listening. Big thank you for listening to today's show. We will be back Tuesday for our Week 12 recap, our Week 13 preview and predictions, and our latest set of Frenzy playoff rankings for Week 13. So we'll be back Tuesday for a college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy. Until Tuesday, I'm Joel Norris signing off. Enjoy this weekend slate of college and NFL games. As always, stay the course. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I'm just going to say it twice. Stay the course.